I need clarification on the dark side.
There isn't any.
Okay. I go and study with amazing healers who tell me to say prayers of protection and to surround myself with white light. And I think, why should I do that? That's putting attention on the other side.
That's right.
Okay. Can you add anything to the dark side or anything?
No, without putting more attention on it.
Okay.
Good. We will say to you that there is only a stream of well-being. You don't walk into a room and look for a dark switch.
Right.
You don't expect to flip a switch and some inky, misty darkness will sift down and cover up the light. There's not a source of evil. But we understand, you see, every thought that has ever been thought still exists. Mm-hmm. And these thoughts are coalescing. So as the spin-off of man's worrisome, fearful thoughts occurs generation after generation, we would not say that those thoughts are non-existent. They are. And as they come together, there can be a pretty strong current or stream about them. And so if when you make a prayer, and your prayer is for the intent of lining up with who you really are and what feels good, there's nothing wrong with a prayer like that. But if your prayer is protect me from evil and keep bad things away from me, in other words, it's not the words you use, it's the way you feel as you are using the words. And so there isn't anything wrong with establishing a statement of intent. Esther does it every time she comes to the podium ready for us to speak with you. She says, Abraham, I want to speak clearly your words. That's her intent. She wants to relax, clear her mind, connect with the vibration of that which she knows as Abraham, and allow that which is Abraham to be the dominant vibration within her. And so there's not anything wrong with making a clear statement of intent. And it is helpful to know that it can't get in your pie. Yes.
Thank you very much.
People make a big deal about things that they do not understand. And don't be unhappy or uncomfortable with a world that sort of is, at this point, pushing harder against what they don't want than they are flowing with what they do want, you see. Yes.
Thank you.
The Democrats actually won the last election, did you know? More of them pushed harder against what they did not want.
This is true.
Hello again. Is it possible for someone's wanting to be something that a lot of us would consider not a good desire?
Certainly.
And still have it manifest, as it obviously seems
certainly.
to be in this world.
Everybody gets to create their own reality. And fortunately, you are diverse in your interests. That's what adds balance to everything. Jerry and Esther were having a conversation like this as they were driving, that it's interesting how we tend to only think that the ideas that are ours are the good ideas, and others who disagree with us surely must be the wrong ones. And everyone feels that way pretty much, you see.
I was listening on the way down from Seattle to a CD of yours when a woman asked a question about loving to read mysteries, which involved crime. And I came away with the sense that she felt, even though she enjoyed these, she shouldn't be doing this. It was not in her best interest.
Well, often people, and that woman in particular, often people are concerned that anything they give their attention to, they will activate it in their vibration. And there is good reason to be aware of that. So her concern was not so much about the morality of reading the crime mystery, or even the morality of someone committing what is seen by the majority of you to be crime. You are all criminals.
So is it a judgment thing?
You are all criminals in the sense that you break more laws than you keep. because there are laws that you are abusing every day that you have no awareness of. And it is only when someone wants to benefit financially that they then make an issue. In other words, there's nothing. Wouldn't you like to have a business where you could decide what was allowed and what wasn't allowed, and then fine what wasn't allowed? And wouldn't you want to then begin to make rules about things that would be easily broken? Someday there will be laws about the kinds of food you eat and where you eat them and the implements with which you eat them. In other words, this thing could get very carried away as long as people are discovering the economic value of making laws, you see.
I read your first book.
Don't leave your subject. We've
distracted
you. We've distracted you a little bit by wanting to lay a basis of this. But we are proponents of helping you to understand that you create your own reality, and we are not too interested in you trying to create your own reality by trying to contour your life by all of the intentions that have been established by so many people who are around you. In other words, there are always extenuating circumstances which make your judgment in the moment a good judgment. In other words, let's say you're driving down the freeway and you believe always in keeping the speed limit, and all of a sudden you look over and you see someone about to veer into your lane and crush you. So you go 80 miles an hour to get out of the way. You have broken the law. In other words, you drove recklessly, and you might have even driven on the place that says official vehicles only, and you might have come to a stop at the side of the road right in front of a sign that says no stopping here under any conditions. In other words, but your own logic and your own sense and your own experience and your own guidance guided you to disobeying a myriad of laws. And we say life's sort of like that. You've got to utilize your own guidance, and when you are in sync with who you are, you will not be negatively affected by any of the decisions that you make. What is at the heart of your question? Because there are two different things that we can feel pulsing.
Well, it really has to do, I guess, with the differences that people get enjoyment from. People enjoy things that other people think probably shouldn't be enjoyed.
Well, this is the point
and
that we're...
I guess I accept that everything is acceptable to source.
Do you think
in the globe? I don't know how to explain it. Everything everybody's doing seems to be what they want to do. Apparently, and it's okay.
Do you think that if you really knew that it couldn't get in your pie, that you would be more willing to allow the others to do what they choose?
I have no problem with that.
And do you think that someone else creating something that you may not want could be information that could help you in the contouring of what you do want? In other words, can you see?
Observation is always important.
So the comparative experiences are all of value in the establishing of the next great idea, you see.
Absolutely.
Yes. So if we could step aside from the moral judgments about the rightness or wrongness, and that would be easier to do once you understand that they can't get it in your pie, then we think that you could be more of a world that is living and let live, and then your world would really expand in a powerful way. If this world were having exposure to its experiences, and everyone were launching their personal rockets of desires, as you are, and Source were answering as it is, and everyone or most everyone or a lot of you were understanding that all you've got to do is relax now and let it in, you would be, as individuals and as mass consciousnesses, as societies, thriving in such magnificent ways that you would not be nitpicking over what anybody else is doing. But the belief in shortage, the belief in limitation, the belief in the resources being limited is what causes most of you to bicker and get guarded and fuss and worry about that sort of thing. saying, if you really understood the unlimited resources of this time-space reality and of the universe at large, we think that you would allow more and more others to live as they choose to live. You are selfishly oriented, and that is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
And the way that plays out in your physical world is that it plays out in the attitude of economics. So if you're ever wanting to understand what is making things move in a selfishly based environment, which this is and which it must be, it's the way it is established from source. Are you in agreement with us about that? In other words, can you feel what we get at when we talk about the importance of the selfish nature? In other words, here you stand and you're having an experience, and your opinion about your experience has to come through the eyes of self. You don't have any other framework. And every point of consciousness, even the cells of your body, have these selfish points. And so the cells in your body that know what's best for them individually make for a very healthy whole. If some of the cells in your body can vibrationally get a stronger signal going and can override the intention of the other cells, then the body is not as healthy as it is when individual cells are all speaking for themselves. This is making sense to you? And so Source sees all that is as this pulsing consciousness where each point of consciousness is attracting unto its selfish self in the best sense of the word, so the whole continues to thrive. It must. So the only reason that anybody ever has less than a thriving, wonderful experience is because they've gotten sideways of that stream of well-being. And the way people get sideways of the stream of well-being is by fixating on something that they fear is problematic and activating the problem in their vibration more dominantly than the solution that they're asking for, and then they live out the opposite of what they're asking for, and then they claim there must be a source of that, when there was never a source of that. They just got sideways or crossways or cross current or resistant to the source that was there, you see. We do not think that it is helpful to be in physical form and wish for or long for or hope for a time when everyone will be in agreement, because it is your differences that keep being the platform of contrast that keeps the new ideas coming forth. But we think it is infinitely important, extremely valuable for any individual to say, I don't have to figure out what they all want and get them all in alignment. I just have to come into alignment with me. Energy balance means come into alignment with me. Energy balance means mix it up, let the new ideas be born, feel source, go wholeheartedly in agreement with the idea that has been born, and then I'll work myself into vibrational alignment, into energy balance, into centering myself. You use lots of different words over time. I'll bring myself into vibrational alignment with who I have become. We really want you to hear this. Oh, here's a very good way of saying this. The contrast gave you the new idea, and you, or at least a good part of you, the non-physical part of you, became that. And now you want to become that too. And why is that? Because you cannot pull back from that which you have become. You cannot pull back from that which you have become. If your environment has given birth to you, to the source part of you going to a new place, you've got no choice as you maintain the happy being that you are other than to go along with it, you see. So now that was a big one, wasn't it? Yes. So now let's go back to the premise of the question that you're asking. So Abraham, are you saying that we've all come forth with different enough intentions and we are all giving birth to different ideas, and each one of us in the new idea that's being born can't pull back from it? And we say, that's right. Esther felt a new desire hatch in herself recently, and she said to Jerry, uh-oh, uh-oh, it's hatched, and you know what that means. And Jerry says, unfortunately, I do. We must go with it. And if there's resistance involved, then your primary work must be to rid yourself of the resistance, not to pull back the dream, because life has given you this next logical step. It was logical to Source. Source went right along with it. The question is, what are you going to have to do to make it logical to you? What thoughts are you going to do? What thoughts of possibility are you going to have to engage in order to bring yourself vibrationally along? And what is happening so often in your world is, instead of letting the ideas be hatched and putting your time and energy toward coming into alignment with the progressive beings that you are,